Welcome to episode 5 of our podcast on cross-cultural and global communication. I'm Yogesh, joined once again by Lily. And today, we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for global teams: language barriers and multilingual collaboration.
Hi, everyone. Language barriers can make or break communication, whether you're leading a global project, managing virtual teams, or trying to close a deal across borders.
Absolutely. Even when everyone speaks English, different accents, vocabulary, idioms, and levels of fluency can lead to misunderstandings.
That's something I've seen a lot, especially when teams are made up of both native and non-native English speakers. Even subtle phrases can cause confusion.
Exactly. For instance, an American manager might say, "Let's hit the ground running," and a non-native speaker might wonder what ground they're supposed to hit and why.
Or when someone says, "Can you touch base with the client?" which sounds like a sports metaphor but isn't intuitive for everyone.
Let's break this down. Language barriers can show up in 3 main ways: differences in fluency, use of jargon or idioms, and misinterpretation of tone or intent.
Let's start with fluency. When English is the working language, not everyone will have the same comfort level. Native speakers may speak quickly, use contractions, or assume shared slang.
Which creates friction. Non-native speakers might feel hesitant to speak up, even if they have great ideas, because they fear making mistakes or being misunderstood.
So what can native speakers do to bridge this gap?
A few key things. First, slow down, not to a crawl, but enough to be clear. Second, avoid idioms, slang, or local references that don't translate easily. Third, pause and check for understanding.
What about non-native speakers? How can they navigate confidently?
Preparation helps. Use tools like Grammarly or DeepL for writing. Practice speaking. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. Say, "Could you explain what you meant by that phrase?"
And I'd say self-advocate. If you need someone to speak more slowly or to repeat something, ask politely. It's a sign of engagement, not weakness.
Absolutely. Now, the second challenge: jargon and acronyms. These are often industry-specific or company-specific, and they can totally derail understanding.
Yes, I once attended a tech meeting where people threw around acronyms like API, SAS, and OKRs without explaining. I understood most of them, but a new hire from another industry was completely lost.
That's why creating a shared glossary for your team or project can be very useful, especially for onboarding international team members.
That's smart, and having a no acronym policy in the first few meetings helps level the field.
Let's move to the third barrier: tone and intent. In written communication, especially emails or chats, tone can be misunderstood.
Yes, a direct email from a German or Dutch colleague might come across as blunt to someone from the US or Japan, who's used to softeners like, "just checking," or "maybe we could."
This is where cultural context and language tone intersect. What sounds polite in one language might sound vague or overly deferential in another.
So should people use emojis or exclamation marks to lighten the tone?
In informal settings, maybe. But in professional communication, it's better to be clear and courteous than overly casual. If you're unsure, say something like, "Just to clarify, I'm suggesting," to signal intent.
Here's a real question. What if your team speaks multiple native languages and English is the second language for everyone?
Great question. In that case, everyone's on more equal footing. Still, establish ground rules. Speak clearly, avoid idioms, use visual aids, and write meeting summaries.
And maybe nominate a language facilitator, someone who helps clarify, summarize, or translate ideas during the call.
Exactly. And having a shared digital space like Slack or Notion where people can post follow-up questions in writing can be a game changer.
Let's also talk about the emotional side. Language gaps can make people feel excluded or embarrassed. As leaders, we need to create psychological safety so people feel comfortable contributing.
Well said. Inclusion isn't just about language access. It's about creating an environment where people are not judged for their accents or grammar, but valued for their insights.
And we can celebrate multilingualism too. Encourage people to teach each other phrases, translate terms, or use multilingual greetings in meetings.
Exactly. Even a small gesture like starting a meeting with bonjour or namaste goes a long way in creating connection.
Before we wrap, what are 3 practical things teams can do this week to improve multilingual collaboration?
Great closing. Here are my 3 things. Audit your language use. Are you speaking too fast, using idioms or unclear terms? Record meetings with transcripts so people can replay and digest at their own pace. Assign a clarity coach or rotating person in each meeting to flag confusion and rephrase.
And I'd add, encourage patience. It takes time to build a rhythm with multilingual teams, but it's worth it.
Thank you, Lily. Well said. And for our listeners, in our next episode, we'll look at building trust across cultures, which is at the heart of every successful global relationship. If you found this episode of Corporate Communication useful, don't forget to join us at leadershipacademy.tagbizsutra.com. Do share it with your friends and colleagues, and leave your review. Until next time, keep learning, listening, and leading globally.